Jake Morrison wiped the grease from his hands and looked at the broken engine in front of him. Another day, another repair job on the Outer Rim colonies. He had been fixing ships and machinery for 3 years now, ever since he left Earth looking for adventure. The adventure part had not worked out the way he planned. Most days he fixed broken air recyclers and patched hull leaks for miners and traders, who barely had enough credits to pay him. His workshop sat on the edge of Frontier Station, a small outpost that served as the last stop before the empty space beyond the asteroid belt. The station was not much to look at, just a collection of metal tubes and domes connected by walkways. But it was home now, and Jake had grown to like the quiet life of fixing things. The alarm on his workbench started beeping. Jake looked at the screen and saw a distress signal flashing red. That was strange. Most ships that came through here were careful to stay in safe space. The signal was coming from somewhere past the restricted zone where no human ship was supposed to go. The coordinates showed a location near the edge of known space, in an area marked as dangerous on all the star charts. Jake stared at the signal for a long moment. Protocol said he should report it to station security and let them handle it. But station security was just 2 tired guards who spent most of their time playing cards. By the time they filed the proper reports and got permission to investigate, whoever was sending the signal would probably be dead. He looked at his salvage ship through the workshop window. The old vessel was not much to look at, but she was fast and had good sensors. Jake had bought her with his savings when he first arrived at the station. He had planned to use her to search for valuable salvage in the asteroid fields, but most of his work ended up being rescue missions for miners who got themselves into trouble. The distress signal kept beeping. Jake made his decision. He grabbed his toolkit and headed for the ship. 20 minutes later, he was flying through space toward the coordinates. His ship's computer kept warning him that he was entering restricted space, but Jake ignored it. Someone needed help, and that was more important than rules. The journey took 2 hours. As Jake got closer to the signal source, his sensors started picking up something unusual. There was a large object ahead, but it did not match any ship design in his computer's database. When he finally saw it with his own eyes, Jake could not believe what he was looking at. The ship was beautiful. It looked like it was made from crystal and metal that had been grown instead of built. The hull curved in smooth lines that seemed to bend light around them. There were no visible weapons or engines, but the whole ship seemed to glow with a soft inner light. It had crashed into a small moon, and one side of the hull was cracked open like a broken egg. Jake brought his ship close to the wreck and scanned it with his sensors. The readings were confusing. The ship was still holding atmosphere in most sections, and his computer detected one life form inside. But the materials the ship was made from did not match anything in human technology databases. The design was completely alien. He put on his spacesuit and grabbed his emergency medical kit. The airlock on the alien ship had been damaged in the crash, but there was a hole in the hull big enough for him to climb through. Jake attached a safety line to his ship and floated over to the wreck. Inside the alien ship, everything was strange. The walls glowed with soft blue light that seemed to come from the metal itself. There were no sharp corners anywhere. Everything was curved and smooth like the inside of a shell. The air felt warm and humid, and his suit's sensors said it was safe to breathe, though it smelled like flowers and ozone. Jake followed the life sign readings deeper into the ship. He found the alien in what looked like a control room, trapped under a heavy beam that had fallen during the crash. The alien was unconscious and wearing armor that looked like it had been grown on their body. The armor was dark blue and silver, with plates that seemed to shift color when Jake moved his light over them. The alien was breathing, but Jake could see that some of the armor plates were cracked and sparking. His medical scanner showed internal injuries that were getting worse. Jake tried to lift the beam by himself, but it was too heavy. He went back to his ship and got the portable lift unit he used for moving heavy engine parts. It took him an hour to carefully move the beam and free the alien. The being was tall and thin, with a body shape that looked almost human under the strange armor. Jake managed to carry the alien back to his ship, though it was difficult in the low gravity of the small moon. Once he had the alien secured in his ship's medical bay, Jake took off and headed back toward the station. During the journey, he kept looking at his unconscious passenger. The armor was clearly damaged and seemed to be some kind of life support system. If Jake could not figure out how to fix it, the alien might die. He had saved someone today, but Jake had a feeling that his quiet life as a mechanic was about to become much more complicated. Jake brought his ship back to his workshop without contacting station security. He knew that if anyone found out about the alien, there would be questions he could not answer and paperwork that would take months to complete. The alien needed help now, not after a bunch of bureaucrats finished arguing about first contact protocols. He moved the unconscious alien to his workshop's medical area, which was really just a clean room where he sometimes worked on delicate electronics. The alien was still breathing, but the damaged armor was making strange noises and occasionally shooting sparks. Jake's medical scanner showed that the being's vital signs were getting weaker. The armor was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. It looked like it had been grown rather than manufactured, with smooth plates that fit together perfectly. Some sections were transparent, showing complex systems underneath that pulsed with soft light. Other areas were opaque and felt warm to the touch. The damaged sections were easy to spot because they had gone dark and were making clicking sounds. Jake started by examining the worst damage. 3 armor plates on the alien's chest had deep cracks running through them, and the systems underneath were clearly not working properly. When he touched one of the plates, something amazing happened. Lights appeared in the air above the armor, showing diagrams and information that looked like technical readouts. The symbols were completely alien, but Jake had been working with machines his whole life. He could recognize patterns and connections even when he did not understand the language. The floating displays showed him which systems were damaged and how they connected to each other. It was like the armor was trying to teach him how to fix it. Jake went to his tool cabinet and selected his finest instruments. Working on the alien armor required more precision than anything he had ever attempted. The materials felt alive under his hands, responding to pressure and heat in ways that human metal never did. When he removed a damaged plate, the armor seemed to help him, releasing hidden catches and sliding components apart smoothly. Under the outer plates, Jake found a network of hair-thin fibers that looked like a combination of wires and blood vessels. Some of them were broken, their ends sparking weakly. Jake used his micro-welder to carefully reconnect the severed fibers, watching as they fused together and began glowing again. The work was slow and delicate. Jake had to stop frequently to let his hands rest and his eyes recover from the strain. The alien remained unconscious throughout the process, but the medical readings showed gradual improvement as each system came back online. As he worked, Jake began to notice things about his patient that surprised him. The alien's body proportions were remarkably similar to a human's. The hands had 5 fingers each, though they were longer and more graceful than human fingers. The torso showed the same bilateral symmetry that humans had, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head in the expected places. The armor itself was clearly designed for a humanoid body. The joint locations matched human anatomy perfectly, and the internal systems seemed to be supporting biological functions that Jake recognized. Heart rate, breathing, body temperature, blood circulation. Everything his scanner detected fell within ranges that would be normal for a human being after 6 hours of careful work. Jake had repaired most of the damaged systems. The armor's internal diagnostics, displayed in those floating holographic readouts, showed green indicators where there had been red warning signals before. The alien's vital signs had stabilized and were actually improving beyond normal human levels. Jake stepped back to admire his work and realized something that made him pause. The alien looked remarkably human in build and proportion. The armor fit like a second skin, revealing a form that could easily be mistaken for a tall, athletic human woman. Even the way the being breathed seemed familiar and natural. As he cleaned his tools, Jake found himself wondering about the alien's origins. The technology was far beyond anything humans had developed, but the body underneath seemed almost identical to human anatomy. Was this just convergent evolution, or was there some connection he was not seeing? The armor's helmet had also been damaged in the crash. Several of the transparent sections were cracked, and the internal systems were showing error messages. Jake approached this repair more carefully than any of the others. The helmet obviously protected the alien's head and face, and any mistake could be fatal. Working on the helmet required him to access systems that were even more complex than the body armor. Jake found neural interfaces and atmospheric processors that seemed to enhance the wearer's natural abilities. There were sensors that could detect radiation, chemical traces, and electromagnetic fields. There were also communication systems that appeared to work on multiple frequencies simultaneously. As Jake made the final connections and sealed the last damaged section, he felt a sense of accomplishment unlike anything he had experienced before. He had successfully repaired alien technology using nothing but human tools and intuition. The armor was now functioning at full capacity, its internal systems humming with quiet efficiency. The alien stirred for the first time since Jake had found her. Her breathing changed from the deep rhythm of unconsciousness to the lighter pattern of natural sleep. The medical readings showed brain activity increasing toward normal levels. Jake sat down in his chair and waited. Soon his patient would wake up, and he would finally get some answers about who she was and where she had come from. He had successfully saved an alien life, but he had a feeling that the real adventure was just beginning. Jake was checking the final repair diagnostics when the alien's eyes opened. He found himself looking through the helmet's transparent visor into eyes that were clearly intelligent and aware. The alien studied him for a long moment, and Jake could see recognition and gratitude in that gaze. She understood that he had helped her. The alien sat up slowly, testing her movements and checking the armor systems. Jake watched as displays appeared around her, showing status readouts that all glowed green. She seemed satisfied with his repair work because she nodded approvingly and looked at him again. This time her expression showed curiosity along with the gratitude. Jake stepped back to give her space, unsure of what to expect. He had no idea how to communicate with an alien being, and his universal translator was a cheap model that barely worked with known human languages. But then the alien did something that surprised him completely. She reached up to her helmet and began the process of removing it. Jake's heart started beating faster. He was about to see the face of an alien being, the first human to make contact with another intelligent species. The moment felt historic and terrifying at the same time. The helmet separated along lines that Jake had not noticed before, releasing a soft hiss as the internal atmosphere equalized with the air in his workshop. The alien lifted the helmet away from her head and set it carefully beside her. What Jake saw made him forget how to breathe. The alien was not an alien at all. She was human. Not just humanoid or human-like, but completely and unmistakably human. Her skin was pale with a subtle glow that made her seem to shine from within. Her hair was silver, not the gray of age, but a brilliant metallic color that moved like liquid in the workshop's lights. Her eyes were deep blue and held an intelligence that seemed far beyond normal human capacity. She was beautiful in a way that made Jake feel like he was looking at something from a dream. But more than that, she was definitely human. Every feature, every proportion, every detail was perfectly human. Jake stared at her in shock, trying to understand what he was seeing. The woman spoke, and Jake's cheap translator crackled to life. Her voice was clear and musical, speaking in a language that sounded almost like English but with subtle differences. The translator struggled for a moment before rendering her words in standard English. "You saved my life, human. I owe you a debt that cannot be repaid." She paused and studied his face. "I am Commander Lisa Vane of the Terran Deep Fleet. I have been searching for Earth for over 200 years. Jake's mind reeled. Terran meant human, he knew that much. But the Deep Fleet was not something he had ever heard of, and the idea that this woman had been searching for Earth made no sense. Earth was where humans came from. It was the center of human space, the most important world in the galaxy. "I don't understand," Jake said. "You're human. How can you be searching for Earth?" "Earth is, He gestured vaguely toward the inner systems. Earth is where we all came from. Lisa smiled, and the expression was both sad and hopeful. Yes, Earth is where we came from. But my people left Earth long ago, when I was just a child. We were sent away to establish colonies in distant parts of the galaxy. We were supposed to return when it was safe, but we lost our way among the stars. She stood up and walked to the workshop window, looking out at the star field beyond. We have been traveling for generations, protecting smaller worlds and searching for the path home. We became legends in our part of the galaxy, protectors who appeared when worlds faced destruction. But we never forgot that we were human, and we never stopped looking for Earth. Jake tried to process what she was telling him. How long ago did you leave Earth? The star charts show Earth's location. You should be able to find it easily. Time moves differently when you travel between galaxies, Lisa explained. We left Earth over 800 years ago, but for us it has only been 2 centuries. Space itself has expanded and shifted during our journey. The stars are not where they used to be, and the old navigation markers have moved or disappeared. She turned back to face him. My ship was damaged while investigating energy signatures that matched human technology. Your salvage operation created readings that my sensors identified as familiar. I came to investigate and found evidence that humans had spread to this part of space. Jake looked at the woman standing in his workshop and tried to understand the implications. She was human, but she came from a lost fleet that had been gone for hundreds of years. Her people had become something like myths, protecting other worlds while searching for their home. The armor, Jake said. That's not human technology, not originally, Lisa agreed. We encountered many species during our travels. Some were friendly and shared their knowledge with us. We learned to combine their biotechnology with our own engineering. The armor is grown, not built, using techniques we learned from a species called the Shapers. She gestured to the repair work Jake had done. You fixed it using purely human intuition and skill. The armor recognized you as human and helped guide your repairs. It would not have done that for any other species. Jake sat down heavily in his chair. So you're telling me that you're part of some legendary human fleet that left Earth centuries ago, and you've been protecting alien worlds while searching for home? That is exactly what I'm telling you, Lisa said. And now, thanks to you, I can contact my people and tell them that we have found the path home. The deep fleet can finally return to human space. She picked up her helmet and activated a communication system built into the armor. Jake heard her speaking in that musical language, and he realized she was calling her fleet. Somewhere out in the dark between the stars, other ships were receiving her message. How many of you are there? Jake asked. Lisa smiled. You will see soon enough. The deep fleet is larger than you might expect. We have had centuries to grow and develop, and we have never forgotten our mission to protect the innocent and defend the weak. Jake looked out the workshop window at the empty space beyond and wondered what he had gotten himself into. He had rescued one woman, but apparently he had also guided home a fleet of legendary human protectors. His quiet life as a mechanic was definitely over. Over the next few hours, Lisa told Jake the full story of the Deep Fleet and why they had left Earth so long ago. She spoke while monitoring her communication systems, waiting for responses from her people scattered across the distant stars. Earth was dying when we left, Lisa explained. Not from war or disease, but from something far worse. Astronomers detected a cosmic phenomenon approaching our solar system, something that would have destroyed all life on every planet. The government had 2 choices: try to save Earth itself or save humanity by sending colony fleets to distant parts of the galaxy. Jake listened in fascination as Lisa described the massive project that had launched dozens of colony ships in different directions. Each fleet was equipped with the most advanced technology Earth could provide, along with genetic banks and cultural archives to preserve human civilization. The plan was for us to establish new worlds and return when the danger had passed. Lisa continued. But the cosmic phenomenon was larger and more destructive than anyone predicted. It consumed entire star systems, leaving nothing behind. Earth's government sent us a final message telling us never to return, that our home was lost forever. She activated a holographic display that showed star charts from the Deep Fleet's long journey. Jake saw the paths they had taken through distant galaxies, the worlds they had discovered, and the civilizations they had encountered. We found that the universe was full of life, but most species were young and vulnerable. The same cosmic phenomena that threatened Earth appeared in many parts of the galaxy, destroying worlds that had no way to defend themselves. The Deep Fleet made a choice. We would use our advanced technology to protect these innocent worlds. The star charts showed hundreds of worlds marked with symbols that Lisa explained represented successful defensive actions. The Deep Fleet had fought cosmic storms, hostile alien invasions, and natural disasters across multiple galaxies. We became guardians, Lisa said with pride in her voice. When worlds faced extinction, they would send desperate messages into space hoping for help. The Deep Fleet would answer those calls. We saved entire civilizations from destruction. Jake studied the displays and tried to comprehend the scale of what Lisa was describing. How did you survive for so long? How did you maintain your ships and equipment? We learned from every species we encountered, Lisa explained. Each civilization had developed unique solutions to different problems. We combined their knowledge with human engineering and created new technologies that were better than anything we started with. She gestured to her armor. This biotechnology allows us to survive in environments that would kill normal humans. The armor does not just protect us, it enhances our natural abilities. We can think faster, react quicker, and endure more than baseline humans. Lisa activated another display that showed the internal structure of the armor. Jake saw biological systems integrated with mechanical components, creating a hybrid technology that seemed almost alive. The ships evolved too, Lisa continued. They can repair themselves, adapt to new threats, and even reproduce when necessary. The Deep Fleet has grown larger over the centuries, not smaller. We have built new ships using resources we gathered from dead worlds and abandoned systems. Jake felt overwhelmed by the implications. So you're telling me that there's an entire human civilization out there that's more advanced than anything in known space? Much more advanced, Lisa confirmed. We have had centuries to develop without the limitations that bound Earth science. We encountered species that had mastered biotechnology, others that could manipulate space and time, and some that had learned to harness the power of stars themselves. She paused as her communication system chimed with an incoming message. Lisa listened to the response and smiled. The first ships are already on their way. They will be here within days. Jake felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. What happens when they arrive? What will they think of the colonies out here? They will be amazed, Lisa said. We had no idea that humanity had spread so far from Earth after we left. The fact that humans reached this part of space using their own technology shows that our species is more resilient than we ever imagined. She looked out the workshop window at the star field beyond, but we bring troubling news as well. The cosmic phenomena that drove us from Earth are returning. Our long-range sensors have detected the same energy signatures moving through this part of the galaxy. The threat that destroyed our home is coming here. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. How long do we have? Perhaps a year, maybe less, Lisa said grimly. The phenomena move slowly, but they are unstoppable. Every world in their path will be consumed unless something is done to stop them. Can they be stopped? Jake asked. Lisa smiled with grim determination. The Deep Fleet has spent centuries learning how to fight these cosmic storms. We have developed weapons and shields that can deflect them, but it requires coordinated action across multiple star systems. That is why finding human space is so important. We need the resources and population of the colonies to mount an effective defense. Jake realized that his simple rescue mission had become something much larger. He had not just saved one woman. He had potentially saved all of human civilization by guiding the Deep Fleet home. What about me? Jake asked. I'm just a mechanic. What role do I play in all this? Lisa studied him with those intelligent blue eyes. You saved my life when you had no obligation to do so. You repaired alien technology using nothing but human intuition and skill. You took risks to help someone you had never met before. She paused. Those are exactly the qualities the Deep Fleet values most. We have always believed that the best of humanity comes from ordinary people who choose to do extraordinary things. Jake looked at his simple workshop and thought about his quiet life fixing machines. In a few days, ships from the legendary Deep Fleet would arrive, bringing technology and knowledge beyond anything he had ever imagined. The peaceful Outer Rim colonies would become the front line in a battle to save human civilization from cosmic destruction. His life as an ordinary mechanic was definitely over, but Jake realized he was ready for whatever came next. 3 days after Lisa's first communication with the Deep Fleet, Jake saw something that changed his understanding of what was possible. Ships began arriving in the system, but these were not like any vessels he had ever imagined. They seemed to be part machine and part living organism, with hulls that shifted and adapted as he watched. The first ship to arrive was massive, easily 10 times the size of the largest human vessels Jake had seen. Its hull was dark and smooth, with sections that pulsed with internal light. As it approached the station, Jake could see smaller ships detaching from its sides like cells dividing from a larger organism. That is the Prometheus, Lisa said, watching the arrival through the workshop window. She has been the flagship of the Deep Fleet for over a century. Commander Ryan Scott will want to meet the human who guided us home. More ships continued to arrive throughout the day. Each one was unique, showing the influence of different alien technologies that the Deep Fleet had encountered during their long journey. Some ships looked like they were made of crystal and light, others appeared to be grown from organic materials. All of them moved through space with a grace that human ships could never match. Lisa had been in constant communication with the fleet commanders, briefing them on the situation in human space and the threat that was approaching. Jake listened to parts of these conversations and gradually understood the scale of what they were facing. The cosmic phenomena that had driven the Deep Fleet from Earth were not natural disasters. They were weapons created by an ancient species that had once ruled this part of the galaxy. These beings had been gone for millions of years, but their automated systems continued to cleanse worlds of intelligent life, preparing them for their creator's eventual return. The Harbingers, Lisa called them. We encountered evidence of their civilization in distant galaxies. They were incredibly advanced, but also completely ruthless. They believed that intelligence was a disease that needed to be cured. The Deep Fleet had spent centuries developing countermeasures against Harbinger technology. They had learned to detect the approach of the cleansing waves and had developed shields that could protect entire worlds. But defending the human colonies would require resources and coordination on a massive scale. We need every ship, every station, and every colony to work together, Lisa explained. The Harbinger's weapons work by resonating with the quantum foundations of matter itself. Only a coordinated defense across multiple star systems can create interference patterns strong enough to deflect them. Jake watched the Deep Fleet ships taking positions throughout the system and felt overwhelmed by the responsibility. These legendary protectors had traveled across the galaxy to save worlds they had never seen, and now they were depending on him to help them save humanity. Commander Scott arrived at the station the next day, accompanied by several other Deep Fleet officers. Jake was surprised to see that they all looked human, though, like Lisa, they had that subtle, luminescent quality that marked them as something more than baseline human. Mechanic Morrison, Scott said, shaking Jake's hand with genuine warmth. The Deep Fleet owes you a debt that can never be repaid. Without your rescue of Commander Vane, we might have wandered the stars for another century before finding our way home. Scott was a tall man with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of centuries. He wore armor similar to Lisa's, but his was marked with symbols that Jake assumed indicated rank and experience. We have studied the reports of your repair work on Vane's armor, Scott continued. Your intuitive understanding of our biotechnology is remarkable. The armor should not have responded to someone without proper neural integration, but it recognized you as human and assisted your efforts. Jake felt embarrassed by the praise. I just did what seemed right. The armor showed me what needed to be fixed. That is exactly why we want you to join us, Scott said. The Deep Fleet has always valued practical skill over formal training. Our best engineers and warriors started as ordinary people who chose to do extraordinary things when the moment required it. Lisa stepped forward. Jake, the Deep Fleet is offering you full integration. The biotechnology that enhances our abilities, access to our ships and weapons, and a place among the defenders of human space. Jake looked around his simple workshop and thought about the choice he was facing. He could return to his quiet life as a mechanic, fixing broken equipment and living peacefully on the rim. The Deep Fleet would protect the colonies whether he joined them or not, or he could accept their offer and become something more than he had ever imagined. The integration process would enhance his natural abilities and give him access to technology beyond his wildest dreams. He would become part of humanity's elite fighting force, protecting innocent worlds from cosmic destruction. What does the integration involve? Jake asked. Physical enhancement, neural augmentation, and symbiosis with biotechnological systems? Scott explained. You would become stronger, faster, and more intelligent than baseline humans. But you would still be human, just enhanced beyond normal limitations. Jake thought about all the worlds the Deep Fleet had saved during their long journey. He thought about the cosmic threat that was approaching human space. He thought about the opportunity to be part of something larger than himself. The universe is vast and dangerous, Lisa said softly. But it is also full of wonders and possibilities that most people never get to see. The Deep Fleet offers you a chance to explore that universe and protect the innocent beings who live in it. Jake looked out the workshop window at the Deep Fleet. Ships positioned throughout the system. Somewhere beyond the stars, ancient weapons were moving toward human space with the power to destroy entire worlds. The only thing standing between humanity and extinction was a fleet of enhanced humans who had spent centuries learning how to fight impossible odds. I'm just a mechanic, Jake said finally. Lisa smiled, her luminous eyes bright with approval. The best of us started as something simple. What we choose to become is what makes us human. Jake nodded and looked at Commander Scott. When do we start? Scott smiled and activated a communication device. Prometheus, this is Scott, prepare. The integration chamber. We have a new recruit. As Jake stepped aboard the shuttle that would take him to the flagship, he realized that his life as a simple salvage operator was over. The universe was vast, dangerous, and full of wonders he had never imagined. But he was no longer facing it alone. The Deep Fleet had come home, and they were recruiting. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning.